According to the CDC, 1 in 3 teen girls have had serious suicidal thoughts.
Rates of depression and anxiety have been increasing, particularly among teens. While the pandemic made things worse, this was true even before the pandemic. Why? What is happening? Most of the discussion centers around social media use and bullying. While those are undoubtedly factors, mindless consumerism is the real underlying cause of our children's mental health crisis. First, mindless consumerism has led us to buy conveniences to the point that we have engineered out the meaningful use of our legs for ambulation. We have thus made exercise unnecessary and further made the outdoors unnecessary. Thus, we spend 90% of our time indoors in increasingly artificial environments, whereas we have evolved in and are best suited to live in natural environments. It is easy to forget that for about 99% of our time on Earth, Homo sapiens spent nearly 100% of their time outdoors. Today, 75% of teens do not meet the recommendations for adequate exercise. We also confine children to indoor settings for the large part of their daytime. They may even get into trouble should they attempt to move around. Children today can easily spend their entire day confined indoors between school and home. While not an actual medical term, nature deficit disorder has a big impact on the developing mind. Second, poor nutrition is also a hidden factor leading to poor mental health. Mindless consumerism leads adults to become dependent on employers for their day-to-day living. Today, our homes are nearly 3 times as large as they were 100 years ago thanks to mindless consumerism. It is filled with more stuff than ever. What this means is that we adults don't have the time to prepare a nourishing meal for ourselves and for our families. For many of us, breakfast is typically just coffee or a breakfast taco on the go. Given the time constraints, for our children, breakfast is often pre-packed sugary cereals or perhaps waffles and syrup. Likewise, their school lunches are equally poor in nutrients. Today, a shocking 60% of our calories and 70% of our children's calories come from highly processed foods. In contrast, there are still examples of people who consume very little. Modern-day hunter-gatherers appear to have excellent mental health. Their diets are nutritious, except when scarcity is a factor. They move around constantly. They spend nearly all of their time in natural outdoor settings. That also promotes good sleep at night and eases stress. Moreover, since they live in small groups or tribes of people, they are richly rewarded with social interaction, which is another key element of good mental health. This, of course, is not a call to return to the Stone Ages. Starvation was a real threat in those days, and safety and security was not up to our current standards. The point is, we could all be so much better off than we are if we were to become mindful consumers. Moreover, instead of promoting consumption to fuel endless GDP growth as our politicians, both on the left and the right, are keen to do, we ought to be promoting well-being. We are a people, not a machine used to become increasingly productive. Our children are suffering. We cannot continue along the same path. It is time for a paradigm shift to our way of living.